If you deal with multiple currencies in your business, you can set up a list of currencies. You must turn on the multiple currencies features in Preferences before you can set up the list. Then you can choose which currencies to use. However, before you turn on multiple currencies, you should make a backup of your company file. Once you turn on multiple currencies, you can't turn it off. And because the changes are so widespread, I'm using a special working file just for this video. It's called multiple_currencies. If you open it to follow along, be sure to close the company file at the end and open the correct file in the next video you watch. If you don't use multiple currencies, lucky you! You get to skip this video. So to turn on multiple currencies, go to the Edit menu and choose Preferences. Click Multiple Currencies in the left panel and click Company Preferences. And to use multiple currencies, click the option for Yes. And here QuickBooks is reminding you to back up your company file because once you turn on multiple currencies, you can't turn it off. So let's click Yes. We are ready to turn on multiple currencies. Next, you choose the currency you want to use as your home currency. And if you don't see it in the list, you can click View More Currencies. But we'll stick with the US dollar. Click OK. And QuickBooks closes the company file and reopens it to add the currency features. Then you can assign a specific currency to bank accounts, customers, and vendors. When you create a transaction for the account, customer, or vendor, QuickBooks uses the currency you've assigned. But first, let's set up the currency list. So we'll go to the List menu, Currency List. By default, some currencies are already turned on, and that includes the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, US dollar. We passed it. There we go. So you'll need to activate the currencies you need so that they will appear in menus. So let's say we want to activate the Taiwan dollar. You can select it and choose Currency, make currency active. Or you could simply click the X to activate the currency, or to make an active currency inactive, click in the X column to add an X next to the currency. Now if we select this checkbox, the list will show only those currencies that are currently active. When you turn on multiple currencies, there are a couple of things you should know. All existing customers and vendors will be assigned your home currency. You can't change the currency for people who already have transactions. Continue to use the home currency, customers, and vendors until you close their open balances. When the balance becomes zero, you can make the customer or vendor inactive. And you can't edit the existing customers or vendors to change the currency. You'll have to recreate your customers and vendors, assign the currency to them, and then you use the new customers and vendors for your foreign transactions. So let me just show you that. I'll close the currency list, and let's create a new vendor. When you create your new customers and vendors, you'll have to vary the name slightly. For example, Acme Insurance, like CAD for Canadian dollar. And in the currency menu, choose the currency to use for this vendor. And just to keep in mind that this vendor name does not appear on any transaction forms. It's just for your reference, so the vendor will not see the CAD. Let's go ahead and close this vendor. And repeat those steps for creating new versions of your customers. You would use these recreated customers and vendors for any new sales or purchase transactions. At the same time, continuing to use the home currency names until you complete any current open transactions. And just like existing customers and vendors, your existing accounts will be assigned the home currency. Continue to use the home currency accounts to complete any open balances. QuickBooks automatically creates a separate accounts receivable and accounts payable account for each currency as you recreate the customers and vendors in those currencies. So I haven't created a customer yet, so let me go ahead and do that, just to quickly show you how that works. Dick Clark, Euro, and the currency is Euro. I'll click OK. And now let's take a look at the chart of accounts. And you can see that there's now accounts receivable account for the euro and accounts payable for Canadian dollars. You'll also have to create new bank accounts and credit card accounts for each currency. So let me just show you how you would assign a currency to a new bank account. Let's create a new checking account for the Canadian dollar, and I'll type checking CAD and choose the currency as Canadian dollar. Click Save and Close and create a new one for each currency that you use, and then use those new accounts for your foreign transactions. So you would use the foreign accounts for any new transactions, at the same time continuing to use the home currency accounts until you complete any current open transactions. Other account types like income and expense accounts always use your home currency. After turning on multiple currencies, QuickBooks adds a new currency column to the customer and vendor centers, as well as to the chart of accounts. So here you can see there's a new currency column. And click it if you want to sort by currency. Okay, let's close the chart of accounts and open the vendor center. And here you can see that QuickBooks has added a currency column. You can customize what is shown in this left panel to show balance total by currency. So for example, if you use both US and Canadian dollars, you can add both columns to the list. So if you right-click and choose Customize Columns, here you can see a balance total US. And let's move this one back. But since I haven't yet created any transactions using multiple currencies, I don't see a balance total for the other currencies yet. But once you create those transactions, you can go ahead and add the columns. Let's click OK. And before showing you a transaction form to see the effect of currency, let's talk about exchange rates. Let me close the vendor center. You need to download exchange rates on a regular basis. QuickBooks does not do this automatically. And to do that, go to the Company menu, go to Manage Currency, and choose Download Latest Exchange Rates. And it's recommended that you download the rates daily. And I just need to point out here that you can only download the rates if your home currency is the US dollar. As an alternative, you can also manually enter exchange rates. So go to the List menu and go to Currency List. And double-click the currency, and you can change the exchange rate here or enter it if there is no entry there. So I'm going to go ahead and click Cancel. What happens when the exchange rate changes between the time you enter the transaction and the time you receive or make a payment? QuickBooks automatically creates an account called Exchange Gain or Loss to track the differences. Now let's take a look at a transaction form. Let's go to Create Invoices. And before we choose the customer, I want to point out that this account is the US dollar account. But when I choose the euro customer, this account changes to the euro accounts receivable account. The line item amounts, let's just add one to show you. The amounts are in euros. And you'll see that there are two totals here, the total for euros and the total for the home currency, which in this case is US dollars. When you print or email the form, the exchange rate, which is here, does not appear, and the USD total does not appear. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close. No. So just remember, if an existing customer assigned to your home currency has an open invoice, don't use the foreign version of the customer you created to receive payment against that invoice. Continue to use the home currency version of the customer until the transaction is complete. Then you can make that customer inactive to avoid confusion in the future. One more thing to show you is the write checks. And here is the bank account, and let's choose the Canadian checking account. And we can ignore this message for now. And the amounts on the expenses and items tabs will be in Canadian dollar, and this shows you the ending balance in that account It will show the amount of the check in Canadian dollars and also shows you the equivalent in the home currency. Okay, we're done with currency. Let's close this company file. And we don't need to back up.